What's going on, guys? We have another entry for my favorite spin off series. We have Casey Jones, issue 5. And like I said, this is my favorite of the spin off series, so that's not including our main line or Journeys. Both of those I probably would still say I like more than this, but this is a very strong entry. And so on the cover here, we got Ludwig fighting with Casey Jones. Now, I'll spoil this. That's not going to happen in this one, but it's a pretty nice little thing. We did see a fight between these two, and I am going to kind of touch on that a little bit in our recap as to what's going to be relevant for this story going forward. So, in the previous issue, we got to see a little bit of Ludwig's upbringing, where he is being raised in a lab that's owned by Jack Marlin. Now, Ludwig looks at Jack as a father figure, even though Jack will constantly tell him no, no, no. He sees Jack as a father. Jack sees him just as a useful tool. And so, what he had Ludwig go out and do is just go capture mutants, for which then Jack hunts, kills, and uses their DNA to create basically a drug of sorts called Nordstrom. Now, we saw Nordstrom has like a healing factor, but it has other side effects as well. For example, with Ludwig, it keeps him keeps like his animalistic behaviors at bay, and so he is really addicted to this stuff because he doesn't want to be looked at as an animal, but more like human. And one of the things that he desires above all else is to be treated like family by Jack and having a chance to sit at the family dinner table with the rest of them, for which Jack has constantly made up excuses as to why that can't happen. Whether it's just kind of shifting the goal for him to do that. It's like, okay, well, if you do this, perhaps we can discuss it further. Not completely shutting it down, just trying to keep them focused elsewhere while just kind of shifting that a little further out. Now, for humans, it's made them more aggressive. We saw an actress who was using a different version of Nordstrom. It was more of like a makeup applicant, and it still made her extremely aggressive while making her look very youthful and kind of healing her skin in that regard. But it also ended up mutating her face, and I think that is only for the apply onto like the skin kind of a thing, because we haven't seen anything with Casey Jones up to this point. Because yeah, he ended up getting some as well. He got into a fight with Ludwig on a rooftop, and to save Raph from getting captured along with a couple other mutants, Casey made kind of like an ultimate sacrifice move and took Ludwig down off of a skyscraper, and then they both crashed down onto the ground. And Casey's knocking on death's door, and he understands that Nordstrom can at least heal him, so he decides to go ahead and take it rather than just lay down and die. And so we've seen the aggressive streak come out of him. He went on like a little patrol with Raph, and Raph had to like back him off of beating the hell out of a robber. He was like, dude, you're taking this way too far. Then we see him get into an argument with April, and he was kind of aggressive towards her. And then there's this little mutant named Annabelle, who Casey told Annabelle that he was going to go find his father, who I believe his name is Solly. Now, this father is also being held by Jack Marlin at his facility and is in wait to be hunted. And so Casey also kind of brushed off Annabelle too. It was really aggressive, not physically, but in the way he treated her. She was there because he asked her to be there. He was going to show her some like moves, and he basically told her to piss off and moved on. And then we find that he learns of the lab location that Ludwig was previously at. Goes to investigate, and the Purple Dragon gang is had followed him in there, and that's where issue 4 cut out, and that's where we're going to pick up on with issue 5. So, let's just get right on into it. We have Alex Packendell as our writer, and Amanke and Enid as our artist. I'm not even going to attempt these last names. It's right here on my camera for all those interested. I just don't want to butcher the shit out of it. So over here we see Casey making very short work of the Purple Dragon gang. He is just whipping that ass. And we get some inner monologue about how this should be making him feel good. Beating up some lowlifes that wanted to come pick a fight. However, he just feels more and more angry. He can't really describe why he's going through this. We see one of the purple dragons over here in the Mohawk, Link. He's got a crowbar and he's going to crack Casey right in the skull. And while he's kind of a little out of sorts, he's like looking behind Link and sees a vision of his mom. This kind of gives him a little bit of a second wind because he wants to go see his mom. So he's, for those who don't know, his mom is dead. She died a long time ago. And he's just starting to whoop some ass. Now, Chun over here in the hood, he comes over and kind of helps bring Link up onto his feet and is like, this dude is definitely juiced up on that Nordstrom. And they're like, yeah, well, we got some too. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat, big flaw. They have it. They understand that they don't stand a chance against Casey while he's all juiced up and they can even the odds. They don't take it. Why? And I'll get to that later when we finish the story. This is definitely a big issue, though. But yeah, Casey just starts another round of whooping ass. He even gets, Chun gets behind him, gets a chain around his neck. Casey snaps the chain, and because Chun's kind of revealed that he knows that he's on the juice and whatnot, Casey's like, okay, well, you're going to tell me where there's more. Tackles Chun outside of a first story window. It's a little harder to see on my glass or on my camera, but we have all the shattered glass that they just went through. So he's not diving down just like he did a couple issues ago. Just straight out onto the street now. And he is just beating the shit out of Chun. And is like, where is this place? And Chun says that it's in a farm upstate. And he's trying to get more information. And basically all Chun's saying is they hunt mutants. And he's like, why? And Chun holds the Nordstrom and is like, for this, dumbass. And Casey then realizes he's got basically the victim's DNA in his body, and he doesn't know how far and how bad this is going to get, but he'll learn soon enough. And Chun is over here like, man, for a second you were like Hun, his father, and he'd have been so proud of you. And that kind of wakes Casey up a little bit as to where he's at, and he just runs away in shame as everybody else starts running after him. Speaking of the farm, we cut over there where we see Ludwig. He is now captured after he was trying to steal the Nordstrom because Jack cut him off after he failed to get Casey and Raph and all that. He got defeated, got his last batch stolen from him. That's in Casey right now. And Jack cut him off. He tried to break into the facility, got caught. And Jack's like, well, I could never let you sit at my table now. Not that he was ever going to. Ludwig's been extremely blind to that. And it's because of the upbringing he's had. Again, he sees Jack as a father. And so he's just kind of blind to some of the bullshit that Jack's been pulling on him. And he's like, yeah, no, I couldn't possibly have you there now. Because, again, he's shifting it again and again and again. But this time it's a permanent shift because he's letting him know, hey, you're next up on the hunting list now. And you're going to be over here with this fella. This is Solly. Now, I have issues with Solly being here. We've seen other mutants come and go who Solly has been there the whole time. Now, why? What possible reasons do we have for that? I don't know. He doesn't seem to be particularly special in any way, shape, or form that Jack may want to keep him alive. I think it is simply so Annabelle has a happy ending at the end of it all, right? She's not having to deal with the loss of her father like so many other mutants, because these other mutants that have come and gone, they're all dead, and Sully is somehow still here. So I think he's just got some huge plot armor, because Jack really does not care about any of these mutants. Ludwig has been a useful tool, and that's the only reason why up to this point he's been allowed to be alive. He's he's very strong, he can go grab others, and he's obedient, so it's been useful for Jack. Sully, on the other hand, he's just been wrapped up in this blanket over in the corner, and that's it. He's been in a holding cell, and what really doesn't add up is the last two that we saw go out on a hunting. Some of the other hunting members are paying money for this, by the way. A little discouraged by the lack of sportsman-like game that they have here, because one of the other mutants had his leg injured from when Ludwig shot him with like a harpoon gun or something like that. And so it's like, well, you could have had him in there just for a little extra sport. So big plot armor for this guy here. That is an issue. And like I said, I think it's simply so at the end of this series, Annabelle's got her father back and returned, and it's a big old happy ending there. Now, Ludwig's like, please don't do that. I'm not like them. And he's like, yeah, you basically are. Ludwig makes one last plea. He's like, I'll hunt more. I'll grab more mutants. Four a day. I won't sleep. And Jack's over it. He's like, I'm not hearing you. And that's when Sully reveals himself to Ludwig and just kind of mocks him, because, after all, Ludwig's the reason why Sully's here. And it's like, surely you had to have known that this was coming. What you are is why you will never be at that table. So yeah, Sully speaking some wisdom to Ludwig there. Meanwhile, we cut over with Casey. He's pounding on the door of the turtle's lair. Donnie's the only one home, and he's just like, what the fuck? He thought he's got pizza guy coming over. So he goes up, sees that it's Casey, who's got the Nordstrom in hand, and is like, please, you got to analyze this. And then basically blacks out. And he's kind of got like a little fever dream going on. He wakes up in his dream to his mom, who's kind of just like examining him. Just like, oh man, you're burning up. We need to take care of you. And Casey confides in her, and it's like, I'm so worried that I'm becoming like him, referring to Hun, his father. And she said, when I left, you could have been cruel, but you decided not to. You decided to make your little corner of the world a better place. Your anger is a gift. Just don't turn it on to your friends and those who care about you. And those were the last words that he got before he wakes back up and tells Donnie he just feels like shit. And Donnie's saying, well, that serum's starting to work its way out of your system, so it's probably going to be a little rough going here for a little bit. And Casey tells him that Chun said it was made with mutants. And Donnie confirms. He's like, yeah, I'm seeing blood, tissue, and bone marrow as well. So now Casey's a little extra worried and is like, well, is there any chance that where this came from, those people are surviving? He's like, very unlikely. For everything that had to go through with this, you probably only got like a few fluid ounces out of like somebody who's about 180 pounds. So very little for what's needed, and it probably was extremely... It took a lot of work to get that much out of each individual. And so Casey feels even worse about having the serum in his body. He's just like, man, I just ladled it in my system, because he willingly just took all of this. And at this point, I'm thinking he would have rather died had he known what was actually in that serum. And Donnie said, don't beat yourself up. You didn't know, and it's better to know now then get hooked on the stuff and have it even harder to break away from. And so then Casey goes on and mentions the farmhouse. And Donnie's like, yep, you were muttering in your sleep, and I was able to piece some things together. And he brings up the schematics. He's like, well, this is the only building out in that area for quite a while, so that's likely what it is. Let's wait on the rest of the guys to get here. We'll formulate a plan and go from there. He looks back, and Casey's gone. Because Casey is determined, with as long as he's got this shit in his system, he's going to make the best of it. He's going to do the most good he can, because he doesn't want to waste the lives of all those that are whose DNA got harvested for this serum. So he just rushes that gate. He crashes through, knocks out the guard, takes the badge, gets in, finds another guard, jumps him too, grabs his badge. He's just making his way, and then he finds his way into the Nordstrom, like where they got some of the serum already ready to go, and he's feeling the effects starting to wear off. So he's actually really tempted to grab this syringe and inject himself and kind of pump himself up a little bit more. But he's just like, no, I know what's in it. I can't do this anymore. That's clean cut. I'm done. We then find like a freezer room, or at least a very, very cold room. All right, you got some of the mist coming out of here, and he's going through the plastic curtain, and it's a pretty gruesome scene. What we got all of these beheaded mutants, or here's the claw of one of the mutants that we saw get captured. So we know that they didn't make it. Not that it was going to be likely. This was the individual who had a damaged leg. So it's really pretty grim what we're seeing here, and that's unfortunate. Now, before Casey can really do much of anything, he gets zapped by that previous guard, and he's brought down, but he ain't going down without a fight. He ain't no punk bitch. He's like, fine, you know what? This electricity running through me, I'm just going to touch you and have you get zapped too. That is before another guard cracks him in the face, and they're like, God damn, he was a tough son of a bitch. Casey then comes to face with Jack Marlin, who now, because of his license, knows who he is, where he lives, all that fun stuff. And they get discussing about how basically now Casey's going to be one of the hunted, and he's not going to be alone. He's going to be accompanied by somebody that was once useful to Casey, but now is no longer, and that's where we see Ludwig next to him, and Casey remarks about how, looking into his eyes, he no longer sees the monster, he just sees a helpless cornered animal. And we get a to be concluded. So next one's going to be our last issue. So I got some thoughts here. First off, since we're already here, with Ludwig, I hope we don't do like what we did in the Battle Nexus, where Ninjara, instead of being a villain and remaining a villain, is now just straight up friendly. And I didn't like that, and I hope we don't do that with Ludwig. If we are doing a redemption arc, I do kind of hope that he does something like Darth Vader, right? He makes a sacrifice play. He, of course, dies and kind of helps redeem himself. But Ludwig does need to be punished in one way or another. So if he does survive the whole ordeal, I hope he just goes behind bars. Or is a villain character all on his own. Maybe he decides to embrace his more animalistic nature and becomes a real thorn in Casey and the Turtles' sides for a while. I've been very much enjoying him as an antagonist, so I don't want to see him go friendly. But if we are going to try and do that, make it like a sacrifice, or at least put him behind bars permanently or something, where he can be redeemed that way, but he does need to pay up for all of the lives that have been lost because of all the work he's done. We can't just have him be forgiven. So I'm going to withhold any kind of judgment on this one until the next issue, but that is what I would like to see. I would like to see Ludwig have to pay in some way, shape, or form. If he sacrifices himself to try and redeem himself, like I said, with Darth Vader kind of in mind there, I'd be all right with that. Or, he helps take down Jack Marlin and decides, yeah, I need to be punished and put behind bars for everything I've done. I'm good with that too. But I would also, if we're going to keep him alive, like to see him as a villain. Now, I've already made note of Sully or Annabelle's father. I think the only reason why he's going to be around is just so Annabelle can have a happy ending, where she gets reunited with her father. Everything's all great, and then that's fine and all. But we're not doing the work to make sure that happens. Like Marlin has been doing all this hunting. He has no reason to keep anybody alive, and it's really just Sully in there all by himself. So why not hunt him down? But going back to with the Purple Dragons, they have an opportunity to take this and kind of help even the odds in this fight, but they don't. Now, why don't they? That would be very inconvenient for the plot, because Chun has this. Casey takes it from him. He then takes it over to Donnie. Right? He's got it in his hands here. And then Donnie can analyze it. He gets information on it. And then while Casey's over there muttering in his sleep, he gets clues to help fix him in on Jack Marlin's farm and his location. So them not taking it is how we get to this point. So that is a huge flaw here, because they should have taken it when they realized that they are just not going to be able to take on Casey while he's all juiced up like that. Because even though we do see as he's getting the chain around the neck, he's like, that stuff's going to wear off. I'm like, I don't know. That whole group is getting their ass beat enough where I don't think that they can just hold off and wait for the serum to wear off. Like, they're getting beaten to a pulp, and he's just getting angrier. And Casey's dangerous without being all juiced up. So, because you see him just taking on everybody. He has no problems doing that. So I don't think that that's a good enough reason to not take the serum to even the odds. Plus, they took it before. What was it, issue 1 or 2? They took it before when Casey didn't have it. So I have there's no reason to think that they need to do that other than, well, the plot dictates that they can't right now because Casey needs it. So that's a flaw. But other than that, it's a pretty solid book. I'd give this one. I'm not really counting the Sully living thing. It's kind of part of an issue with this one, but it goes back even further than that. He should have been killed a long time ago. And I'm withholding judgment on Ludwig's fate, but I didn't like how we're kind of pushing perhaps he can start turning good. That's kind of what it looked like it was going with, but really just the whole Nordstrom serum not being used, that's its biggest flaw. So I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. The series overall is a very strong series. We're 5 issues in, with the 6th one being the last one. This is going to be somewhere between an 8 and a 9 out of 10 for me, and I'm hoping that issue 6 does not shit the bed. I have no reason to think that at this point. I don't think anything's been lower than a 7 out of 10 from this series. It is a very good series. And it's a really good, we get lots of stuff for Casey to go up against. We got kidnappers, drug dealers, and plenty of robbers, murderers, all that stuff. And I've been really enjoying this. Plus, we get a little taste of Casey having to deal with a little bit of an addiction thing, right? Because even though he knows he's got DNA from sacrificed animals in his body, he's still tempted by the Nordstrom. So we are toying with addiction on his behalf, and I think it's just his moral fiber that keeps him going, and not taking the stuff, because he has to tell himself, no, I know what's in this. This is bad. I can't have this in my system, and then proceed on. I think a lesser person would have easily grabbed that stuff, and I mean we see it with Ludwig. his addiction to it. So we get a lot of good stuff in this series, and I've been really enjoying it. And I would be really upset if issue 6 just kind of shit the bed. But otherwise, this has been a good one. I have no problems recommending this one at all. Like if you just need some other series to kind of fill your time in between like the mainline stuff, the Casey Jones one, no problems recommending that whatsoever. But that is all I have for today, guys. So until next time, take care and God bless.